Ben10, Alien Transformations Dominate the Universe. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 21. What's going on? Why did my power enter your body? Thor exclaimed puzzled. The power of thunder that had just entered his body for less than 2 minutes had completely entered Lin Tian's body at this moment. It can be said that the current Lin Tian is the real thunder god. You're too weak. Lin Tian shook his head and said truthfully. It was like a spear, piercing all the defenses in Thor's heart, and piercing Thor's self-esteem. Now he is indeed too weak. Watching his father's departure helpless, Hela was easily crushed with a hammer and blinded. In the end, he escaped from Sokka's star. If he had been stronger, this wouldn't have happened. Thor lowered his head, his pupils dimmed, and he no longer argued about the issue of the power of thunder. He can still use the power that originally belongs to him, which is the only good news. Thor. Gamera's voice sounded, pulling Thor out of his thoughts. Subconsciously turned her head to look at Gamera, and found that she pointed to the sky, and looked in the direction of Gamera's finger, and dense black dots appeared in the sky at some point. The black dot was still enlarging, and after reaching a certain distance, Thor discovered that this was a fleet. The fleet is very grand, dense, covering the sky, the sun is blocked on a large scale, and the light is somewhat blocked. Father, Odin is dead, a few of us can slaughter half of the Holy Spirit on this planet, without your own hands. Inside the lead spacecraft, a gray-skinned female alien with a bulging forehead held a laser double-edged gun, knelt on the ground, bowed her head and respectfully said. Another tall, gray-skinned alien standing next to him made a slight noise in agreement. Thanos on the throne glanced at these people, smiled, and waved his hand. Go boys, bring me victory. Yes. After hearing Thanos' order, the female alien was overjoyed in her heart, hurriedly raised her head to take the order, held her weapon and walked towards the hatch. After Ebony Throat and the others saluted Thanos, they followed. Although Odin died, this place is still Asgard after all. On the one hand, they pay enough attention to this planet, and on the other hand, they want to prove themselves and be recognized in front of Thanos. Yes. Gamera's recognition of Thanos' spaceship. For a while, countless memories flooded into her heart, making her outstretched fingers tremble. Thanos is nominally her adoptive father, but it is he who destroys his own home. For the love-hate Thanos, Gamora is more fearful, which is why she fled. Everyone saw the dense battleship in the sky, and entered the battle state like a great enemy. Little brother, do you want to make a move? The raccoon used all 4 limbs together, stopped in front of Lin Tian, and said nervously. Lin Tian opened his palm, looked at the electric light jumping on his fingertips, and was feeling the power of the electromagnetic macho, when he heard the sound of a raccoon. After putting away his palm, Lin Tian looked down at the raccoon and said with a smile, it seems to have nothing to do with me, right? His target is the planet, not me. Lin Tian added, and after speaking, he looked up at the battleship overhead. One after another, blue rays of light shot down from the battleship, bringing down countless soldiers densely packed, and roared and looked at the only thunder god people exposed to the field of vision. Episode 22. Looking up at the dense black shadow that kept falling, Gamora's heart trembled wildly, and she subconsciously reached out and grabbed the arm of Xingjue next to her. After feeling Gamora's fear, Star-Lord was about to comfort her, when he turned his head and saw the face full of fear. As if seeing the death sentence, Gamora showed a look of fear. Fear of death. Big man, it's dawn, it's time to get up. Thor turned to look at Banner and spoke. Banner stared at the female alien and the black dwarf at the head and nodded solemnly. His intuition told him that these two would be his biggest threat. Roar. With a roar, Banner's neck was blue, his skin turned from white to green, and his body was expanding. In just a few seconds, Banner completed the process of transforming from a human to the Hulk. Seeing the appearance of the Hulk, Thor breathed a sigh of relief. For the Hulk's destructive power, he had already felt it in the gladiatorial arena before. Facing such a huge army, the Hulk is undoubtedly the best candidate to lead the charge. The Guardians of the Galaxy and the Hulk Valkyrie fought side by side, looking at the Thanos army in front of them with a serious expression, silently tensing their mental muscles and preparing for battle. And Lin Tian just took a step back, quietly waiting for the battle to come, and did not mean to help. He came to Asgard to awaken new aliens, and for this purpose, he also fought Hela. However, he did not expect that after defeating Hela, he actually awakened a new alien from Thor. Under the call of the throne behind him, Lin Tian's body slowly rose into the air and sat up steadily. Lifting Erling's legs, holding his face with one hand, he sat there very lazily. Now that there is a large army under pressure, he will not be able to leave for a while. It is better to take this opportunity to see the strength of Thanos' army. Ebony Throat frowned slightly when he saw Lin Tian sitting on the red flame throne in midair, behind the Thunder God. Lin Tian's lazy look at the play, in the analysis of Ebony Throat, is the leader who urges the battle. For a time, the Ebony Throat gathered that powerful spiritual power to observe Lin Tian. However, when the Ebony Throat spiritual power just spread to Lin Tian's side, it was bounced off by an invisible force. That throne that originally belonged to Odin has changed hands to Lin Tian at this moment. It invisibly plays a protective role. It is your honor that you lowly people can die at the hands of Thanos' sons and daughters. The female alien did not notice Ebony Throat's move, clenched her spear, and stared at Thor, and everyone sneered. Sorry to interrupt, if looking like a baboon is also a high race, I still like the way it is. Star-Lord weakly raised his hand and interjected, it's really inferior to be able to joke when death is imminent. The female alien Proxima Knight looked at Star-Lord and continued to sneer. Having experienced so many battles, she has long been irritated by just a few words. Then, Proxima Knight Time slowly raised his spear, and then, swing it down, point to Thor, children, go and bathe in blood and seek rebirth. Proxima Centauri ordered. Suddenly, the countless warriors behind the Obsidian Five were like sharks that smelled blood, roaring and furiously rushing towards the people of Thor. Ebony Throat stood in place, behind his hands, feeling a little out of place. Ebony Throat's gaze was still fixed on Lin Tian, who was not far away, and he spoke, General Deadblade, go and test the strength of that young man on the throne. An alien next to Ebony Throat who bowed his body and looked like a demon nodded after hearing this, looked at Lin Tian, and showed a playful look. I won't let my father down. The Deadblade general held the Deathblade spear in his hand, his expression turned gloomy, and he said confidently. Thor on the battlefield was fighting with Thanos warriors with his bare hands, when he felt a familiar aura appear behind him. After feeling this familiar breath, before Thor had time to surprise, he felt that this breath was mixed with a bit of chill. Turning his head, Lin Tian, who was sitting on the throne, had an extra eternal spear in his hand. Episode 23, Odin's Eternal Gun? Why is it in his hands? Ebony Throat frowned. The battle continued, and after feeling the existence of the eternal gun, Thor was obviously a little absent-minded, turning his head to look at Lin Tian from time to time. The eternal spear was his father's weapon and accompanied him for thousands of years. Originally, he thought that with the death of his father, the eternal spear would fall into a deep sleep, but he didn't expect that it appeared in Lin Tian's hands. Looking down at the eternal spear that had just flown out of the palace, Lin Tian slowly raised the eternal spear, and then slammed it down. In an instant, a brutal aura with Lin Tian as the center of the circle rushed towards the surroundings. The furious aura swept across the entire battlefield, and although the aura was powerful, it was not lethal. Little trick not on stage. The female alien who was at war with Thor only felt a gust of wind blowing, and turned her head to look at Lin Tian, with a little disdain in her eyes. The next moment, countless black shadows suddenly appeared on the ground behind Lin Tian. Like a cloud of stagnant water that has been opened, one figure after another has drilled out, one after another. Am I not dead? A woman with hair stood in place, looking down at her sound hands, a little puzzled. I give you the chance to live, it depends on whether you can seize it. Just when the woman was puzzled, Lin Tian's voice came. Looking up, the flaming throne revealed Lin Tian's figure. Wong. Almost subconsciously, Hela called out the name of Lin Tian. This woman is none other than Hela, who was killed by Lin Tian just now. However, in the geographical advantage of Asgard, coupled with the role of the Eternal Spear, Hela was resurrected and became Lin Tian's servant. At this moment, Hela has long lost his previous temper. That silky black hair is fluttering in the wind, looking like a female high school student who has just woken up. The moment she saw Lin Tian, she had no previous battle intent, and some were just endless fear and respect. Take off his head and give it to me. Lin Tian stretched out his finger to Ebony Throat and said in a commanding tone. Hela followed the direction of Lin Tian's finger, her gaze passed through the battlefield, and fell on the Ebony Throat. Yes, Hela nodded and said quietly. Facing the Ebony Throat, Hela's face no longer had the kind of obedience to Lin Tian, and frost appeared on a pretty face, and the murderous aura boiled. Roar. Fenrir let out a roar, and it was also resurrected under the power of the Eternal Spear, and like Hela, unconditionally obeyed Lin Tian's orders. Hela glanced at Fenrir, her hands brushed over her forehead, and her draped hair was styled and put on a fighting position. As soon as Hela waved his hand, the countless undead army behind him rushed out and joined the battlefield. Thousands of troops and horses are constantly fighting. The momentum is shocking. The blood does not stop. It is particularly spectacular. Although Black Dwarf is equal in strength to Hulk, it does not take advantage of it for a while. Although Xingjue is an unscrupulous mouth cannon, he is also a force to be reckoned with when fighting. Now with Hela and the army of the undead joining, the situation suddenly became anxious. Hela rode Fenrir, holding two knives in his hand and rushing towards Ebony Throat. Along the way, the double knife in Hela's hand cut off countless heads. Even if the female alien stepped forward, in front of Hela, she was a little powerless. Hela's single-handedness, the tactic of capturing the thief first and capturing the king first, obviously disrupted the layout of Thanos' army. Out of self-preservation, Ebony Throat waved his hand to lift several corpses and smash them at Hela. Sting. The sharp dagger easily cut through one corpse after another, and did not stop Hela's steps, and the life and death of the Ebony Throat were imminent. Enough. At the moment when Hela was about to rush to Ebony Throat, a majestic and icy shout suddenly sounded in the sky. It was like thunder exploding, and the eardrums trembled. The battlefield paused for a moment under this shout. Looking up, Thanos, sitting on a levitating throne, flew out of the battleship. Father. Black Yao 5 saw Thanos personally disembark, his face was slightly pale, and he became nervous. "What's your name?" Thanos ignored everyone on the battlefield below, pointed to Lin Tian, who was also sitting on the throne not far away, and asked. Lin Tian looked directly at Thanos, smiled slightly, sat upright, and put away that lazy look. "My name, God of War." Episode 24, God of War? Thanos laughed silently after hearing this, and then ignored Lin Tian, looked at Hela, and looked up. Obviously, Thanos did not take Lin Feng seriously, and more vigilance was placed on Hela. Hela also raised her head and looked at Thanos with a sneer. The two looked at each other as if there was some kind of chemical reaction, and the temperature of the surrounding air began to plummet. Na Ebony Throat and the others also involuntarily slowed down a lot, for fear of making a sound and causing the dissatisfaction of the two. The strength of Thanos and Hela is equal to each other. Even if Thanos' strength is stronger than Hela, it can't fight the level of unilateral second kill. It can be said that the two are the real opponents at this moment. "If you dare to touch a single hair of the king, I will kill everyone around you," Hela said coldly. "King?" Hearing Hela's name for Lin Tian, Thanos shook his head after hesitating for 2 seconds. "In this world, I am the only god, so what god of war, what king is there?" Thanos sighed with emotion, his tone is always without any mood swings, and he could not hear his joy or sorrow at all. "But after today, this beautiful planet will be reborn." Thanos looked at the beauty of Asgard in the distance, smiled, and sighed. "Didn't you hear me?" Hela's pretty face was covered with frost, and her tone was like ice. "I said, don't move the king." Hela's expression changed, and she raised her head to the sky. Fenrir in the crotch also instantly red eyes, roared, and then helped 2 steps, jumped up, and went straight to Thanos. After being resurrected, Hela herself also felt a little indescribable, and the boy seemed to be her all in an instant. A man more important than the throne, more important than strength. In an instant, 2 sharp daggers arrived in front of Thanos. "Now you will not be my opponent." After Thanos glanced at Hela indifferently, he clenched his fist with his right hand and blasted towards Hela. Hela raised his hands together, and the 2 daggers were precisely aimed at Thanos' fist and chopped somewhere. The moment Thanos sensed the threat of the dagger, his fist quickly swung and blocked the pair of knives with the armor of his forearm. Then another punch hit Hela firmly in the abdomen. A shockwave penetrated Hela's body and radiated in the air. Under the bombardment of this punch, Hela's body fell uncontrollably. Just resurrected, the reason why the strength has not been restored. Looking at Thanos, who was constantly moving away, Hela fell to the ground unwillingly. Fenrir also fell down with the aftermath of the shockwave. Lin Tian's resurrected Hela is not a simple resurrection, but similar to some kind of genetic recombination. The current Hela power does not come from Asgard, but from Lin Tian. Hela, whose strength had not yet recovered because of death, was indeed not Thanos' opponent at the moment. "If I lose, he will be in danger. I can't fall down yet." Hela opened her eyes, and her eyes suddenly became firm. The next moment, Hela, who was about to continue launching another round of attack after landing, suddenly felt that 2 big hands were dragging him. When you look at it, it is Lin Tian. The moment he saw Lin Tian, Hela lowered his head, and a few red halos appeared on his pretty face. She could feel that there was a big dishonest hand that was placed where it shouldn't. "Rest, let me come." After Lin Tian landed, he put down Hela and instructed with a smile. "Wong. I." Hela stood up, her expression worried and about to say something, when she saw Lin Tian's body rising higher and higher, and her skin turning from yellow to red. Four-Handed Overlord, appear again. Looking up at Thanos sitting on the levitating throne in midair, the Four-Handed Overlord bent his legs and charged power. Bang! After a short charge, the Four-Handed Overlord's body ejected and flew out, and the ground also collapsed on a large scale. "Oh? Another one." Poof. The moment Thanos noticed the Four-Handed Overlord, before he finished speaking, he suddenly felt 2 strong fists slamming on his head. At that speed, he didn't react at all. So fast. The spiritual power is terrifying like an ebony throat, and he can't see the trajectory of the Four-Handed Overlord clearly. The leap just now, the Four-Handed Overlord relied on brute force. Titan Thanos, who has always been known for his terrifying combat power in the flesh, was actually overshadowed by the Four-Handed Overlord in the physical battle at this moment. Episode 25. Kind of interesting. Thanos reached out and wiped the blood spilling from the corner of his mouth, and instead of being angry that Lin Tian's punch made him see blood, he laughed funny. There are many planets that Thanos has slaughtered and washed in blood, and some strong people have also been encountered, and in the face of these strong people, most of his Obsidian 5 generals can solve it. Now Lin Tian's punch that made him bloody can be said to have aroused his long-dormant desire to fight. The corners of Thanos' mouth rose, evoking an evil smile, his eyes searched around, and he was about to look for Lin Tian's shadow, when he saw a red shadow rushing in front of him. The Four-Handed Overlord still takes the old way, both arms clenched into fists at the same time, and the muscle lines coincide perfectly. Like a machine, 2 punches aimed at Thanos' head at the same time. Thanos' expression changed suddenly, and he didn't have time to think, raised one hand to protect him, and took a defensive posture. Bang! Two big fists slammed into Thanos' arm at the same time, and a powerful airflow erupted from the junction of the two fists and the arm, sweeping around. After blocking this punch, Thanos' face sank, and he was about to swing his other hand to counterattack, and the other two punches of the four-handed overlord slammed again. Thanos didn't even have time to react, so he had to stay as it was and continue to defend. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Tian turned the four hands of the four-handed overlord into a divine use, and those four hands seemed to fit together completely, and the movements were surprisingly consistent, and he couldn't find a single flaw. The four-handed overlord punched Thanos' head with punch after punch, each punch being a little stronger than the last. Thanos couldn't find a chance to fight back and fell into an endless cycle of beatings. It was best to be helpless. Thanos controlled the levitating throne under the seat and began to retreat, trying to distance the two of them in a plan. But Lin Tian's transformed four-handed overlord did not mean to let go, and two punches blasted out, directly smashing on the handrail of the suspended throne. For a while, the throne, which was about to retreat and stay away, began to slowly fall downwards under the control of brute force. Lin Tian seized the opportunity. His body was controlled in the sky above Thanos, and four fists rained down on Thanos. Not only the speed was fast, but even the strength was brutal. This scene turned into a one-sided beating of Thanos by the four-handed overlord. Each punch of the four-handed overlord will accelerate the time for the levitation throne to land. Bang! Both right hands bend at the same time and charge and swing out violently. The powerful impact directly caused Thanos to smash into the ground together with the levitating throne, stirring up a large cloud of dust. The four-handed overlord also slowly landed on the ground, and the moment his toes touched the ground, he returned to Lin Tian's original appearance. Phew! After the fierce battle, Lin Tian let out a breath of turbid chi with satisfaction. Father! Black Yao 5-star saw that Thanos was dropped from the air to the ground by Lin Tian, and they were all suddenly discolored, and hurriedly ran towards the direction where Thanos fell. Goo! The battle on the battlefield has long been suspended with the appearance of Thanos, and the scene of the four-handed overlord against Thanos just now can be said to be clear to everyone. Xingju also swallowed his saliva dryly, looking a little afraid. Not only Star-Lord, but almost everyone present felt dry mouths for the almost perverted physical combat ability of the four-handed overlord just now. The two hands of the four-handed overlord perfectly fit the picture of being used as one hand, but when they think about it, it makes their hearts tremble. If this punch goes down, I'm afraid it can smash a spaceship, right? One of the deepest touches is Hela. She could clearly feel that Lin Tian was much stronger now than when he fought with her before. What kind of person is this? Looking at Lin Tian, Hela felt a little afraid in her heart. Bah! The dust gradually cleared, and Thanos wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and spat out a mouthful of cloudy blood. And that suspended throne was actually tightly embedded in the ground stone mound under the bombardment of the four-handed overlord's final combination of 2-into-1 punch. Facing the concern of the 5 generals of Obsidian, Thanos reached out impatiently to interrupt, took a step forward, and a pair of eyes that seemed to be able to spew fire stared at Lin Tian tightly. I admit, I underestimated you just now, Thanos said, reaching out and rubbing the arm of his other hand. Just now in the forced beating, this arm blocked deadly moves again and again, and also caused this arm to be in severe pain, and couldn't help but tremble. Notify the fleet and bombard them. Thanos turned to Ebony and ordered. At the same time, this is also a move that he is unwilling to use, and using external forces at this juncture has a feeling that he has lost the battle. But he also knew that if he didn't use the armed forces of the fleet, he would definitely not be able to defeat Lin Tian now. Moreover, he has even grander plans to come true. Yes. Ebony throat bent slightly and said respectfully. A spiritual power command was sent from the Ebony throat to the fleet group. Suddenly, this overwhelming, densely packed battleship turned on the thermal weapon at the same time, and countless pitch-black muzzles were aimed at Lin Tian's people below. Episode 26. The huge group of warships covered the sky, penetrating to the ground through the gap between the warships. When the guns stick out from the battleship, they shine brightly in the sunlight. Groove. Finished. I knew I should run. Star-Lord looked at the countless pitch-black cannons aimed at him in midair, dragged his chin with both hands, and exclaimed, "Shut up." Seeing Star-Lord's unproductive appearance, the raccoon kicked it up again impatiently. Hela didn't speak, just stood silently in front of Lin Tian, and actually wanted to use her body to help Lin Tian block the incoming bullets. The air seemed to be heavy again. There were almost no ordinary people present, and they usually did not care about the damage of thermal weapons. But when countless muzzles are aimed at them, the heartbeat is inevitably slowed down. Under this density of shooting, even Hulk's perverted body does not dare to guarantee that he will be unscathed. Only Lin Tian raised his head to look at the fleet group, smiled slightly, slowly raised his hands, and opened his palms. Little brother, it's a bit of a bad time for you to surrender. The raccoon holds a submachine gun in his hand and reloads the submachine gun with a click. Lin Tian's appearance of raising his hand and opening his palm, people who don't know, I'm afraid they really thought that Lin Tian had surrendered. Who said I was going to surrender? Lin Tian turned his head to look at the raccoon and smiled. Immediately afterwards, Lin Tian moved his gaze back and set it on the group of battleships in the air. The moment Lin Tian turned his head and moved his gaze back, Lin Tian's eyes burst into dazzling flames. Then, the feet, chest, and arms burned with flames. At the same time, the figure is gradually rising. When Lin Tian's gaze completely moved back, Lin Tian transformed into a flame man again. Perfect time calculation. What is this? Xingju looked at Lin Tian's transformed flame man and wondered. Seeing this familiar look, Hulk snorted and reluctantly stopped overdoing it. When he fought with Lin Tian before, he suffered a loss in Lin Tian's ability to constantly transform, and now that he saw it again, he still had a little emotion in his heart. After coming to Asgard, although Lin Tian could use the ability of the flame man without transformation, but when the war came, he still liked to use the original state of the flame man. It's a bit similar to the Yukai that has changed back to its original form, and its strength has increased slightly. With the appearance of the flame man, the surrounding temperature began to rise. Even if the heat wave has not yet spread, Thanos not far away has still reached an abnormal gap through his powerful perception. After turning his head and seeing Lin Tian's strange state, Thanos faintly felt a bad premonition in his heart. Bang, bang, bang. The next moment, after the well-trained warship group quickly aimed at the target, the missiles were launched en masse. For a time, the sky was filled with dense missiles. Thanos' warship missiles use technology to a certain extent that exceeds Earth technology, and each missile launched can easily blow up a mountain. It is not difficult to imagine what kind of disaster will be caused when nearly 10,000 missiles land. As early as a few seconds ago, Thanos' army had long been recalled by the battleship, and at this moment, there were only Thanos and Lin Tian on the ground. Thanos had already restored the levitation throne, and he could have used the wormhole space to leave, but the reason he didn't leave was because he wanted to see Lin Tian's death with his own eyes. The missile cut through the air, emitted a burst of air, and quickly fell to the ground. Hela, who was blocking Lin Tian's face, had even closed her eyes, ready to face death. Several others were also overwhelmed by the enemy. Boom! Before the missile flew halfway to the ground, two flames suddenly shot out from the ground. The flame is radial. When it was ejected from Lin Tian's palm, it was only the thickness of an adult man's arm, but the moment he touched the missile, it was already the size of a small battleship. Boom, boom, boom. When the flames flooded the missiles, under the influence of high temperatures, countless missiles exploded directly. A huge mushroom cloud bloomed, and powerful waves of chi flew out in midair. Boom! After the flames engulfed the missiles that were fired, they continued to spread. When the blazing flames touched the first battleship, the battleship immediately exploded on the spot, turned into scrap iron, and smashed to the ground. Boom, boom, boom. The two flames are still expanding, and the warship group in the sky is also exploding one after another. The graphics are magnificent. From beginning to end, not a single missile fell on the ground. Looking up, these two flames had covered the entire sky. Under the scorching flames, the sky has been burned red. This guy. What the hell is it? Why do you transform into so many powerful aliens? Episode 27. In the aftermath of the explosion, the entire area was dusty. For a while, everyone's hair danced lightly, and their vision was obstructed to a certain extent. Even if you can't see Thanos' expression, the ebony throat can clearly feel the chill from Thanos. Lin Tian's heaven-burning move just now almost burned the battleship group they brought with him. Not one left. The entire army was destroyed, and this loss was far beyond Thanos' acceptance. Thanos looked in the direction of Lin Tian, his face sinking like water. Because he was too angry, the corners of Thanos' mouth twitched slightly, revealing his clenched teeth. At this point for him, it seems too childish to say cruel and dirty words. One look has replaced all words. At this moment, Thanos was already angry, and the anger in his pupils had already passed through the wind and sand and hit Lin Tian. Brush! Just as Thanos stared in Lin Tian's direction, a blue figure burst out from the wind and sand, leaving one afterimage after another. Lin Tian transformed into a flash star and rushed over. The speed of that pervert is beyond the scope of the naked eye. Be careful. Ebony Throat's face changed drastically, and he hurriedly stretched out his hand and took a step to block Thanos, but was interrupted by Thanos' hand. Let me come. Thanos retracted his chin, squinted his eyes, and said in a deep voice. The Clayman also has 3 points of fire, not to mention Thanos, suppressed by Lin Tian one after another. Thanos, as a big demon of Marvel, how can he swallow his anger? In less than a blink of an eye, the flash star had already arrived in front of Thanos. The two looked at each other, and the 4 weeks seemed to be frozen. The arm that Thanos was defending before was still faintly painful, so he had to use his other hand. The palm opened sharply and slowly clenched his fist. A crackling, bone-crisp sound followed. Boom! The fist broke through the airflow and blasted towards Lin Tian's transformed Flash Star with a punch. And Flash Star looked at the fist swung towards him, smiled slightly, and also stretched out his hand to clench his fist and respond to the blow. When the two fists appear in a common trajectory, they are in sharp contrast. One is like a huge iron fist, and the other is like a flower fist embroidered leg. The ability of the Flash Star is originally the speed of movement, and the attack power is indeed far inferior to Thanos as a Titan. However, Diamond God of War can. When the little fist of Flash Star is about to collide with Thanos' Iron Fist, the small blue fist turns from blue to green, and its size is also increasing. Touch. When the fist of the Diamond God of War and the fist of Thanos collided completely, the terrifying energy wave exploded in an instant, and the powerful and terrifying turned into a huge impact, like a violent explosion, crashing in all directions. The two powerful forces staggered together, and the surrounding ground trembled violently, and even cracks began to spread. In the previous fight, although Thanos was passively beaten, this does not mean that his strength is insufficient, but the powerful destructive fist duel on the first-class defense Diamond War God did not take any advantage. Even the smile of the Flash Star is still on the face of the Diamond God of War. The situation seemed to be deadlocked, and the nearest ebony throat people were wide-eyed, their lips were slightly open, and their faces were full of disbelief. Thanos' terrifying strength, they have all seen it with their own eyes. Originally thought that Odin died in Asgard, who had lost his asylum, was within reach, but as soon as he got off the spaceship, he encountered Lin Tian, a monster. Not only did he severely damage one of Thanos' arms with the Four-Handed Overlord, but he also transformed into a flame man and destroyed the battleship group they brought. Now he has transformed into a guy covered in diamonds and once again deflated Thanos? Just when they were surprised, they saw that Lin Tian's Diamond War God lightly raised his other hand and aimed it at Thanos' head. In an instant, the palm turned into a cannon barrel, but what was embedded in it was an extremely sharp diamond. Not good. Ebony Throat reached the crisis reward at the first time, and hurriedly reached out and grabbed Thanos' other hand. Brush, brush, brush. Immediately afterwards, the densely packed diamond dagger blasted towards Thanos' head. Seeing the diamond shooting, Thanos' pupils that were originally filled with anger were full of fear. He saw his own death. However, at the moment when the diamond dagger is about to touch Thanos, darkness engulfs him through Ebony Throat's arm. The levitating throne opened the wormhole and took Thanos with him. The diamond dagger shot into the ground, revealing half of it, faintly shining in the light. Lin Tian's body size shrunk, returned to his human form, looked at the direction where Thanos disappeared, showed a helpless smile, and his expression seemed to be a little regretful. Not far away, the Thunder God everyone was already stunned. Thanos brought countless troops and nearly 100 warships to reward, but it was completely destroyed by Lin Tian. Even Thanos was unilaterally beaten by Lin Tian. In the end, the army of hundreds of thousands, only Thanos and 5 of his men fled in ashes? This guy, is he really the God of War? Episode 28. Lin Tian let out a breath of turbid breath and walked towards everyone. Lin Tian was born with a good face, straight facial features, clear eyes, and a slender figure. This originally harmless face of humans and animals, even the male protagonist of the idol drama, is in the eyes of everyone in Thunder God at this moment, but it is the God of Death. In the battle that destroyed the battleship just now, how many of Thanos' soldiers did Lin Tian kill? 10,000? Or 100,000? Thinking of this, everyone looked at Lin Tian's pupils trembling slightly, and their eyes were a little afraid. Only Hela, whose pretty face showed the joy of a high school student seeing his first love. It's great that you're okay. Hela walked over, and after glancing at Lin Tian with a slightly red face, she lowered her head a little shyly. When Lin Tian resurrected her, facing Lin Tian, her temperament also obviously took a huge turn. Lin Tian seemed to have become her all, and all joy, anger, and sorrow were with him. However, there is still some residual coldness that controls her sanity and does not allow her to do things that are out of line. It's just a purple potato essence, what can it do? After Lin Tianping recovered the fluctuations in his heart, he touched Hela's hair and asked with a smile. Hela, as the goddess of death, has outstanding appearance, but because of her love for killing, she has a bit of a bad temper. When Lin Tian revived her, the anger gradually dissipated and returned to her original pure girl's appearance. Hela Chow blushed slightly, nodded, and did not speak. At this moment, Hela is like a docile little cat, enjoying Lin Tian's touch. When Thor saw this scene, he became embarrassed. He originally came to seek revenge on Hela and defend Asgard, but in the battle with Thanos just now, he didn't make any effort, but Lin Tian helped him invisibly. Hela in front of him also did not have the aura of killing tyranny before, and this sudden change made him a little overwhelmed. Hey! Muscular man. Do you feel like you're an abandoned illegitimate child? Xingjue put on a familiar look, stretched out his hand to put his arm around Thor's shoulder, pointed his chin at Hela and Lin Tian, raised his eyebrows and smiled wickedly. Well, if I'm not mistaken, your dad killed your mom, and you killed your dad. I think you're the one who needs to be interviewed. Thor countered and turned his head to look at Star-Lord, also raised his eyebrows, and countered. Star-Lord met Thor's gaze and tried to express his small emotions with a frown, but Thor chose to ignore it. However, Xingjue put on his arm, and Thunder God walked straight towards Lin Tian. Hey, thank you so much for your help to Asgard. The Northern Gods will always protect you. Thor, like Star-Lord, is a self-acquainted look, no matter who he is to. Lin Tian looked at the tall but somewhat stupid Thunder God in front of him, smiled, and did not speak. If you're okay, do you want to stay for a home-cooked meal or something? Seeing Lin Tian like this, Thunder God was a little embarrassed, and began to change the topic and resolve the embarrassment by himself. Hamburg? Pizza? Coke with ice? Or a few beers of some vintage? Thor introduced it seriously, and finally couldn't help but raise his eyebrows, trying to impress Lin Tian. Lin Tian shook his head and looked up at the sky. No, I'm going back to Earth. Lin Tian was also the first time to fly to such a distant planet, and he was still very concerned about Wanda on Earth. And the Chinese people seem to have a common trait, that is, no matter where they are, they always want to go home. This trait seems to seep into the blood of every Chinese person, and cannot be deprived or reversed. After hearing this, Thor briefly thought for a moment and nodded, then remember to help me say hello to Stark. I still have to deal with some family affairs, and I won't go back to Earth for the time being, Thor said, looking at the spaceship stopped by the Guardians of the Galaxy not far away. Also locked up was his younger brother, Loki. After Hela heard that Lin Tian was going back to Earth, she raised her head, looked at Lin Tian, blinked her eyes, and seemed to ask again, what about me? If you want to come with me, go together, but you big guy can't take it with you. Lin Tian pointed at Fenrir. Like a chicken pecking rice, Hela nodded happily. Now she has already regarded Lin Tian as everything. Finally, Hela and Fenrir, after a brief confession, took Fenrir and the army of the undead back into the distance, and continued to let them fall into a deep sleep. That red flame throne was also banished by Lin Tian in the starry sky and temporarily fell into the seal, and the eternal spear left by Odin, Lin Tian, also remained. After all, this thing, it is useless for him to take it. After the raccoon filled the Kuan-type fighter with fuel, Lin Tian took Hela and the two got on the boat and flew to Earth. King, you have raised me and given me new birth. Now, let me repay you. Just as Lin Tian was sitting in the control room and trying to drive the spaceship, Hela behind her walked towards Lin Tian with familiar steps, showing her perfect body. The spaceship enters the autopilot apocalypse. A Sleepless Night, Episode 29, New York City, at night, when the Kuan-type fighter crosses the atmosphere and turns on stealth mode and flies in the air. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Lin Tian still controlled the Kuan-type fighter to land in an uninhabited area. After simply hiding the fighter to avoid being sent, Lin Tian and Hela left on foot. Now Hela has changed from that battle suit to the girl next door, dressed at Lin Tian's request. With small white shoes under his feet, skinny jeans outline the perfect arc of a pair of long legs, and white cartoon short sleeves on the upper body. With her flowing long straight black hair, she is completely a passerby goddess, and everywhere she goes, she is the focus of the crowd. Even if the people of Asgard are here, they may not be able to recognize this as the goddess of death, who kills without blinking. Wang, where are you taking me? Like a bird, Hela hugged Lin Tian's arm and said softly. Hela, who had experienced countless wars before, had just tasted what it was like to be a woman for the first time. After completing the real transformation of a girl into a woman, she seems to find that in addition to killing and fighting, there is a lot of fun in life. Take you to meet your other sister. Lin Tian stretched out his hand and put his arm around Hela's small man's waist and said with a bad smile, Feeling the temperature coming from Lin Tian's palm, Hela snorted shyly, obediently not speaking. New York City is not quiet at night, and from time to time you can hear gunshots and sirens from not far away. It is not difficult to imagine that there are criminals who want to take advantage of the cover of night to do some shady things. Although there is the deterrence of the Avengers, super criminals have emerged one after another over the years, and even some high IQ criminals have also dealt almost devastating blows to the Avengers more than once. So the night in New York City, dark and rough, is not as safe as imagined. When he walked to the apartment, Lin Tian showed a rare smile. It's nice to feel home. When the elevator slowly rose and stopped at the corresponding floor, Lin Tian and Hela walked out of the elevator and came to Lin Tian Fong. At the moment when Lin Tian took out the key to open the door, Lin Tian raised his head sharply, and a pair of sharp eyes seemed to reach the room through the wall. Lin Tian did not use any alien abilities, it was almost an instinct. This house, there may be a problem. Click. Lin Tian quickly opened the door and walked in. Seeing Lin Tian's vigilant expression, in an instant, Hela was ready for battle. Closely following Lin Tian, his eyes were constantly searching the room, looking for suspicious targets. The moment he entered the door, Lin Tian subconsciously turned on the light. With the light shining, everything in the room can be seen and the view is wide. Surprisingly, Hela didn't spot a single enemy in the room, nor did she detect any signs of danger. Quite scary, but the more she did this, the more she knew that something was wrong. In the house, there was no one. Wanda is not there. Lin Tian walked to the bedroom, and the wardrobe door of the bedroom was wide open, and Wanda's clothes were missing inside. Phew. A cool breeze hit Lin Tian, and Lin Tian noticed that the windows of the house were also wide open. That sister, did she leave by herself? Hela stepped forward and asked. After confirming that there were no danger signals in the room, Hela was also relieved, but seeing Lin Tian's thoughtful face, she put away the little woman's posture very wisely. Lin Tian stood up, looked out the window, and shook his head. She won't take the initiative to go. Why? Hela wondered. Obviously, there were no signs of fighting in the room, and there was a little more space in the wardrobe. She didn't know who the sister was, but one girl took a few clothes with her before leaving, and it was clear that the situation was not very critical. In this case, in addition to running away voluntarily, she really couldn't understand for a while that the sister had any other reason to leave. Lin Tian looked at the night sky and shook his head. The wardrobe door is not closed, Wanda can't be so careless. And the window is still open, indicating that she probably walked through the window. And the reason for taking the clothes is also very simple, she needs to cross clothes. Hela frowned, and faintly came to some kind of relationship. What's going on? She ran away. Someone is chasing her, or something is threatening her. Episode 30. The cool night breeze blew into the room through the wide open windows, and Hela's hair danced softly. Hela pondered for 2 seconds and digested the information. Are you saying that someone is chasing that Wanda? Hela's tone was mixed with a bit of worry and nervousness. After all, she had just come to his house with Lin Tian, and this kind of thing happened, which was indeed beyond her imagination. It's very likely. Lin Tian turned his head to look at Hela and spoke. Who would that be? Hela blurted out and asked. Knock knock. As soon as Hela's words fell, there was a sudden knock at the door. Immediately afterwards, a black man wearing an eye patch and a black trench coat appeared at the door of the apartment with his hands behind his back. Can I come in? Nick asked with a smile. The door did not close, but out of courtesy and attention, Nick knocked on the door in detail. In this case, seeing a strange face appear, Hela's pretty face instantly sank, and a faint murderous aura wandered around the room. Nick felt that a murderous aura was constantly impacting his body, and hurriedly raised his hands, half serious, half quipped. Don't worry, I'm not malicious. I just thought that you disappeared from the earth for a month. You should need to understand what happened on the earth in the past month, right? Nick explained. Lin Tian looked at Nick, the corners of his mouth rose, and he smiled. If I guessed correctly, the Avengers should be fighting, right? Nick lowered his hands and frowned slightly. How do you know? Didn't this guy leave Earth for a month? How can you still know what is happening on Earth? Then the person who wants to capture Wanda should have something to do with the Avengers, right? Lin Feng continued. As a fairly passing Marvel movie fan, Lin Tian knows a lot about the changes in the Marvel universe. If memory serves, not only did the Avengers begin infighting this month, Doctor Strange also acted as the guardian of the Time Gem, and Fiorucci also died. Nick, the former director of S.H.I.E.L.D. who originally had confident information to win over Lin Tian, heard Lin Tian's 2 guesses, and his confident face had changed a little imperceptibly. Yes, in one battle, Avengers members unfortunately smashed half of the building, and many innocent residents were injured. To this end, a directive was issued from above asking superheroes to unconditionally obey their commands in the future. Because of different positions and ideas, Stark and Vision and Steve started a skirmish battle. Everyone else was arrested except Steve. Nick shrugged, his tone a little regretful. In this battle, it cannot be said that there is an evil side on both sides. As Nick said, their positions and ideas are different. Steve and his party want true justice, and Stark wants to calm the hearts of the people and dispel fear. Of course, there is also a side for the comfort of Steve. After all, after refusing, he was almost the enemy of several countries. Although Wanda did not participate in that battle, because Wanda appeared in the Ultron incident, she was attributed to the Avengers. But I'm sorry, we haven't found out the specific whereabouts of Wanda for the time being. Nick continued, his tone apologetic. Lin Tian smiled and shook his head. As expected, Wanda should be hiding in his other office. The moment Lin Tian knew that he could use his superpowers, he already had an extra heart eye and prepared 2 doses, just in case. At the moment when he said that he would leave the Earth, Lin Tian handed the key to Wanda. Lin Tian's move was just in case, but he didn't expect that one day he would really use it. But I advise you to be careful, those people above, there are few people to talk to. Nick instructed seriously. Hela sneered after hearing this, and there was a bit of disdain in her eyes. If you can't talk well, don't say it, just kill. A small human organization, what is there to be afraid of? For her, the goddess of death, a small organization on the earth really entered her eyes. Lin Tian smiled and had the same attitude. Then, holding the back of his head with both hands, he walked out the door. When he walked to the door, Lin Tian stopped. If you dare to monitor my life, I guarantee that S.H.I.E.L.D. will disappear from the world once and for all. As Unike stood side by side, Lin Tian's chilling voice sounded. In an instant, the air temperature in the room plummeted. Even Nick, who has experienced many vicissitudes and experienced countless wars, couldn't help but chuckle in his heart when he heard this. This guy won't kill me like he did, will it?